So very good evening to one and all. Today I'm back here. Actually, yesterday last two classes, I'm very sorry. There was some problem with the PPT presentation. I thought that PPT are being shown while I'm teaching, but there was some problem. So I thought I would once again revise you the entire negotiable instrument act for the last 2 days classes. There I have discussed so many important topics. I thought let me once again give a small brief. Brief explanation regarding these negotiable instruments which I have discussed in the last 3 classes. So the main reason for me coming back is I just wanted to give a small revision for Negotiable Instrument Act, which I thought I should do it in a best way because there is some technical problem relating to PPTs. The link was being available for YouTube channel, but my PPTs are not shown. So today I have. I'm ready with that particular by correcting the technical problem. As usual, before starting of the session, let me start with a powerful capsule for today. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character is the goal of true education. What does it say, madam? See, generally, when we are learning something or when we are learning things, when we are It's some of you are asking for explain about accepted for honor. Definitely, I will explain that particular concept. And who else want? If any doubts relating to negotiable instrument acts, you can mention me in the chat. I will clear your doubts. Please, you can give me your doubts regarding NI Act or Companies Act. Please, you can give me your questions. You can pose me your questions. I will try to accept it, and I will definitely clear your doubts. And what all concepts in NI Act you want one more time for me to explain? I will definitely explain. So this is what the purpose of education. What I have written today, quote, is the purpose of education is not just explaining things. It helps you when we are educating means it helps us to build a character, which is very, very, very important. So the character building is important while we are a student. So I hope when you are learning something means at the same time you are trying to correct your character and to build a positive attitude. And the attitude of an individual is very, very essential, and it is very much essential when you go for a job, when you go for an interview. They will not just to see your certificate, your attitude also will be counted. So with this power capsule for today, let me begin the session of Negotiable Instrument Act. So I will explain, Mr. Ajay, I will explain you the accepted for honor also. What are the things which I'm going to explain? The major core important aspect, the agenda for today's class is, I want to once again explain you what is meant by negotiation endorsement, types of endorsement, materiality, crossing of the check, presentment, acceptors. Yeah, draw in case of need also I'll explain, Jay. So first I'll clarify your doubts regarding acceptor for honor and draw in case of need. Then I will go and I will explain in an order. Okay, good, fine. Listen. So before starting, let me show us last 2 classes there was some problem regarding this PPTs, and I think that problem is corrected now, and I will show you. I hope it will be visible. If it is not visible, students, please try to intimate me. Okay, so I think there would be no problem this time. Yeah. Okay, so before telling accepted for honor and regarding the drawing in case of need. Okay, so I hope PPT is being shown. Is my PPTs are clear? Okay, fine. Fine. So my PPT is being shown now. Now, let me tell you, in case of a bill of exchange, how many people are there? Like who are the parties for a bill of exchange? There are 2 parties. That is number 1, the drawer, and number 2 is the drawer. You all know who is drawer. Drawer is a seller who will prepare the bill. Drawee is a buyer who will accept and sign the bill. Okay, fine. Now, when it comes to a bill of exchange, the acceptance is very much essential in a bill of exchange. The acceptance will be given by the buyer by giving his signature on the bill. Therefore, acceptance should be mandatorily made in a written form. Oral acceptance is not a valid acceptance. We all know this. And you know, in case of a bill of exchange, the acceptors or the drawings, there are types of acceptors. In that only, acceptor for honor and drawee in case of need are two types of acceptors. There can be a single acceptor or a single buyer. If a firm is purchasing goods, there can be many partners. Therefore, there can be more than one drawer or more than one drawee. Sorry, there can be more than one drawee, that is more than one buyer. In case of if the buyer is a firm or if the buyers are jointly purchasing, then also there are more than one buyer. They are called as joint drawees. Single drawee you have, joint drawees you have drawee in case of need, and you also have an acceptor for honor. These all are the examples for the drawees or acceptors in case of a bill of exchange. Okay. However, if suppose on behalf of a buyer, agent of the buyer is purchasing the goods, but he should not sign the bill. You know, if agent signs the bill, he will be liable to make payment on behalf of the principal. Therefore, if agent is purchasing goods on behalf of a buyer, in that particular case, agent, if at all he need to sign because his principal is somewhere outside India or in some other country, if he have to sign, agent should specifically mention that he is signing on behalf of the principal, and principal is the main person who will be liable on the instrument and who have to make payment to the seller. Okay, you please be clear regarding the point of agent when it comes to a buyer. Okay, now let me explain you regarding this acceptor for honor and drawing case of need. Before that, I give you one more explanation. General acceptance and qualified acceptance. General acceptance, this particular part of acceptance will once again arise before making payment. This is not initially when the bill is prepared. After going for credit purchase చేసేసుకున్న తర్వాత బయ్యర్ మామూలుగా ఆ పర్టికులర్ బిల్ మీద సైన్ చేసేసి కడతాను పలానా డ్యూ డేట్ రోజు పే చేస్తాను, ఇట్ బి ఆఫ్టర్ 3 months or after 2 months or after so many days కడతాను అని చెప్పేసి ఆ పర్టికులర్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ని మళ్ళీ సెల్లర్ కి హ్యాండ్ ఓవర్ చేస్తారు. Therefore the drawer will be the holder of the instrument. On the due date, if that particular or the seller will take the instrument and present the instrument to the drawee. He will show the instrument to the drawee, asking the drawee whether he is ready for payment or not. Okay, whether he will make a payment or not. That asking is called as, that showing of the bill is called as presentment. What it is called as? Presentment. During that particular time, when the instrument is presented to drawee before receiving the payment, if the drawee keeps any conditions for acceptance, okay, if he says that I would make a payment only after I get the sufficient amount after my sale, I would make a payment only if you come to that particular place of Thar Desert, there I will make you payment, or I will make you payment after my sister's marriage. Like that, if he keeps any conditions which may happen, may not happen, that keeping of the condition is called as qualified acceptance. In such case, if any condition is kept or when any condition is made before accepting for payment by the drawee, then the holder, what he have to do? Immediately he should not accept for the condition. If he accepts for the condition, what will happen? You know, the prior parties will get discharged from the liability. Okay, therefore, immediately the holder, what he have to do? He have to prepare a notice of dishonor. He should not accept the condition. He should prepare notice of dishonor and tell to the prior party saying that this fellow drawee, without giving his acceptance for payment, is keeping all such nasty conditions. I am not agreeing to those conditions. You people, please make yourself liable to pay my amount. Who is asking it? Who is asking this particular information? The holder or the drawer of the instrument. Understood? Therefore, here you please everyone note this particular point. If any conditions kept by the drawee before acceptance for payment, those are qualified acceptance, and holder should not accept it. If he accepts, what will happen to prior parties? They get discharged from the liability. Okay. So this is regarding acceptance. Now, when it comes to types of drawings, you asked me for acceptor for honor and drawing in case of need. I will explain you first drawing in case of need, then come for acceptor for honor and payment for honor. Both are linked. Drawing in case of need means he is another drawing. Generally, for a bill, how many drawees will be? How many drawees? There will be only one buyer, no, for a bill. Okay, there will be one sell. There will be a seller. There will be a buyer. If buyers are joint, there might be more than those are called as joint buyers or joint partners. But if the seller is afraid, if the seller is scared that if the seller does not have any trust on the buyer, here, what buyer is doing? Buyer is going for a credit purchase, and seller know about this particular buyer. This fellow will not make payment on due date at any time. He will make always delay in the payment. Therefore, this time what seller is thinking? He wants some security. He wants some guarantee. Therefore, this particular drawer told the drawee that, Mr. Drawee, please, this time I'm not going to give you any credit sale, because the last time also you took so much time for the payment. I was so frustrated because of you. So what you have this time means I'm a bit scared whether you will make payment or not. So bring some guarantor on behalf of you. Bring some other person as a security on behalf of you. Okay, if that other person also comes, then I will go for a credit sale with you. Who is saying this? A seller is saying to a buyer. If a seller is afraid that drawee would not make payment in time, then the seller or the drawer would request the drawee to bring another person as a guarantor or as a security that another person is called as drawee in case of need. Who is that other person is called as? Drawee in case of need. Understood? Who is drawing case of need? Drawing case of need is a guarantor who is acting for drawee in case of credit sale. Simple words, you need to understand me. Please note down this particular point. Drawing case of need is another person who is signing the bill on behalf of drawee. Okay? This is a simple sentence. Now, in explanation, whatever I told, please you can put it in your running notes. Okay. Now, next, in this particular case, when the holder before going for acceptance of the drawee, first he should present the bill to the drawee and ask the drawee on the due date whether he would make payment or not. If the first initial drawee fails to give his acceptance, then what the holder should do? Holder should approach another person who has signed that instrument. That another person is drawee in case of need. Then holder should go to the drawee in case of need and he should ask him whether you will make payment or not. Okay. Then what the drawee in case of need will say, okay, fine, I will make payment on behalf of drawee, means it's okay, fine. If the drawee in case of need also is not ready to make payment, then only the holder should prepare notice of dishonor and charge the prior parties. Without asking drawee in case of need, the holder should not charge the prior parties. If he does so, the prior parties are discharged from the liability. This particular point can be asked as a bit. Okay. If in case of a bill, if there is drawee as well as drawee in case of need, holder should first approach the drawee for payment. If he fails, he will approach the drawee in case of need. If both of them did not make the payment, then the holder will charge the prior parties. If drawee in case of need makes the payment, then he will take the instrument from holder and the drawee in case of need will become the holder of the instrument. Understood? This is all about drawee in case of need. In a simple sentence to explain what is drawee in case of need means, if the seller or the drawer in case of a bill of exchange is scared that, is afraid that the drawee would not make payment promptly, then he would ask the drawee to bring some guarantor on his behalf or to bring some other person as a security. The guarantor who is acting on behalf of the drawee is called as drawee in case of need, and he will also sign that particular bill. Okay, so this is all about drawee in case of need. Now, come back to this acceptor for honor. Okay, this is also very, very important. I will explain you. Please listen carefully. This situation comes when the instrument is dishonored. This particular situation comes. This particular concept also comes only in case of a bill. Acceptor for honor and the concept kuda bill and the situation bill and the negotiable instrument ke vastundi. When the bill is dishonored for non-acceptance, Means what? I told no. In case of a bill of exchange, the holder, what he have to do before receiving payment, he should go to the drawee and present the instrument and ask him whether he will make payment or not. That is called as presentment for acceptance. If the drawee says, I could not make payment because I don't have funds, then what immediately holder have to do? He will dishonor the instrument for non-acceptance and he will prepare the notice of dishonor and give it to all the prior parties. Okay. So, when the notice of dishonor is given to prior parties and the drawer of the instrument, when they also don't have funds to make payment. They also don't have money to discharge the holder. Then what in that particular situation, who will make payment to holder? Nobody is ready to make payment. The drawer is not ready, drawer is not ready, prior party is also not ready because no one have money. In this particular situation, holder can file a case against all of them in the court of law. He can file or not? Yes, he can file. In order to avoid this situation, any person, a stranger from the third party, a stranger who is not related to this transaction, a third party person can come. He can come and he can ask this particular on behalf of any of the prior parties, on behalf of the drawer. He will ask the holder whether I can make you payment on behalf of my friend Mr. X or on behalf of the drawer. Can I make you payment? If the holder is ready to accept the payment from the particular third party, the third party is called as acceptance for honor. What is he doing? He is accepting to honor his friend, to give a benefit of doubt to his friend, that might be a drawer or the prior party. Okay, so this particular concept arises in case of dishonor by non-acceptance, when any person or any third party who is not relating to the transaction, he will accept on behalf of the drawer or the prior party to make a payment to whom? To the holder of the instrument. However, here two important conditions should be satisfied. What are those two important conditions, madam? Means before making payment or before making acceptance, giving acceptance on the bill should be noted or protested by the holder with the notary public. The holder, what he have to do? He have to take this particular instrument to the notary public and get the fact of information noted on that particular bill. Okay, understood? Only then this particular third party will sign on the instrument or accept the instrument, saying that he is accepting on behalf of his friend drawer to make a payment to the holder. Once he made payment to the holder of the instrument, then what will happen? Then he will take the instrument and this is the instrument discharge అయిపోయిందమ్మా ఇక్కడ instrument ఏమీ discharge అవ్వలేదు. He accepted for honor will become the holder of the instrument and all the prior parties are liable to him. కానీ టెంపరరీగా ఆ ఒరిజినల్ హోల్డర్ ఏమైపోయాడు? రిలీజ్ అయిపోయాడు. He got his payment, so he happily went away. There is no case in the court of law. And now who became the holder? Accepted for honor became the holder and they have to pay. The drawee and this prior parties are responsible to make payment to this particular individual. Understood? This is all about acceptor for honor. Okay, acceptor for honor means a third party who is ready to make a payment or ready to accept the instrument and make payment on behalf of the drawer or any of the prior parties. He will mention on the instrument on whose behalf he is accepting, and he will ask the holder whether my payment is acceptable to you or not. He will ask, and the instrument should also get noted or protested. Okay, so these are important points relating to acceptor for honor. Then what is difference between acceptor for honor and payment for honor, madam? Means this situation, in case of payment for honor also, any third party or prior party. Okay, any third party or prior party, if they make payment to the holder, when the payment is not received by the drawee or maker of the instrument, then if the other person makes the payment, that other person is called as payment for honor. Okay, simple amma. This particular situation arises in case of bill as well as in case of promissory note. Acceptor for honor will arise only in case of a bill of exchange. Okay, in this particular case of payment for honor, any person can make payment to the holder. When any person will make the payment holder, if there is dishonor by non-payment. If the instrument is dishonored by non-payment by any TPL or by a drawee or by a maker of the instrument, then the third party or any of the prior party can make the payment. Okay, they will make the payment to the holder and they take the instrument and they become the holder of the instrument. Okay, understood. However, in this particular case also two important conditions. Before making payment, the instrument should be get noted by a notary public, and the instrument for whom on whose behalf is making payment, we should mention on the instrument in writing. Okay, so this is also this is called as payment for honor. So we have seen accept for honor, and we have seen payment for honor, and we have also discussed the drawing case of need. Okay, so first of all, before that, I would also once again explain you what is called as presentment of the instrument. Okay, let me explain you the presentment of this particular instrument. Once again, what is called as presentment? What is called as presentment? Presentment means showing the instrument to a drawee or accepted to make the payment as per condition it is given. Yesterday I have told you, presentment means before receiving the payment, everyone, whoever have the negotiable instrument, even if we have a check also, only when we go to the bank and show it to the bank, then only bank will make us payment. No, without showing it to the bank, we can't keep check with ourselves. No, so presentment is very important in all the three cases. It is important in case of bill of exchange. It is important in case of a check. It is important in case of a promissory note. What is presentment, madam? Means presentment means it is nothing but showing that particular negotiable instrument to the PPL, primary party liable on the instrument. వాళ్ళకి మనం చూపిస్తే either before the due date or on the due date, when you go and show the instrument, it is called as presentment. Okay, so presentment అనేది మనం ఎప్పుడు చేయాలి? We should mandatorily make during the business hours. బ్యాంకింగ్ అవర్స్ లో ఉన్నప్పుడే మనం చెక్ ని ప్రెజెంట్ చేయాలి. అంతేగాని బ్యాంకింగ్ అవర్స్ అయిన తర్వాత మనం చెక్ ప్రెజెంట్ చేస్తే మన చెక్ ఎన్కాష్ అవుతుందా అమ్మా? అవదు. Okay, so presentment should be made if they specify some time limit on that particular instrument, after the time limit or on the due date or before the maturity, will make the presentment. Where we have to present the instrument, madam? We have to present at the official address of that particular maker or drawee, or any address they have specified, or at the residential address. Okay, so yeah, whatever address specified by the maker or the drawee, there you have to present the instrument. However, in following cases, presentment is not necessary. When the presentment is not necessary means whenever you want to go and show the instrument, the maker or drawee is escaping from that particular premises. He is escaping from his office. He is trying to avoid that particular presentment. And after so much search also, he is not found. He is a fictitious person. First of all, the particular person only is not there. He is a fictitious person, or he is an incompetent person. He is a minor. In such cases, without presentment also, it is valid. Madam, what will happen? Suppose if the holder fails to present the instrument, what are the consequences? What are the repercussions? Means if the holder fails to make the presentment, immediately the prior parties are discharged from the liability. Understood? What happened? If the holder fails to make the payment, the prior parties are discharged from the liabilities. Therefore, presentment is very, very important in order to charge the prior parties. So presentment is important in order to charge all the prior parties. Okay, so and for suppose when you present an instrument in case of a bill of exchange, if you present the instrument to a drawee, if you went to ask the drawee whether he's ready for payment or not, then how much time you should give drawee for thinking, అంటే మీరు ఎంత టైం ఇవ్వాలో తెలుసా అమ్మా డ్రాయికి యాక్సెప్టెన్స్ చేయడానికి? you should give time not exceeding 48 hours. In case of a bill of exchange, when the holder goes to present the bill of exchange to a drawee కి present చేయడానికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు he should give a maximum time of 48 hours excluding public holidays. అర్థమవుతుందన్నా? ఓకే, సో 48 hours ఇవ్వాలి. 48 hours కన్నా ఒక్క నిమిషం ఎక్కువ టైం మీరు అలౌ చేసిన డ్రాయీ యాక్సెప్టెన్స్ prior parties అందరూ కూడా ఏమైపోతారు? డిశ్చార్జ్ అయిపోతారు. What will happen to all the prior parties? They would all get discharge. Therefore, it is very, very essential for the holder when you present the instrument to the drawee, it should not exceed 48 hours. Okay, so these are the cases in case of presentment. Presentment is important to charge the prior parties. Presentment is nothing but showing the instrument by the holder to the evarki chupistavamma particular instrument, you will show it to the maker or the drawee as the case may be. Okay, and the presentment can be made either by the holder or by his agent. Okay, but presentment is made to whom? To all the PPL of the instrument, maker of the promissory note, drawee of a bill of exchange, and drawee of a check. Okay, so this is all about your presentment. Next, when it comes to this particular dishonor of negotiable instrument, which I have already discussed in the last class, once again, I'll give you a brief explanation about the dishonor of the negotiable instruments. What is meant by dishonor? Dishonor ante a particular negotiable instrument ki payment రాలేదు. ఓకే, సో పేమెంట్ జరగలేదు, ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ డిజానర్ అయిపోయింది అంటే ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ మీద పేమెంట్ రాకపోతే అప్పుడు ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ అయితే పే చేస్తాము అని కూడా ఎవరు చెప్పకపోతే దాని ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ డిజానర్ అయింది అంటాం. ఓకే, ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ ఏ బిల్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్చేంజ్ కానీ బిల్ ఆఫ్ ప్రామిసరీ నోట్ కి చెక్ కి అయితే we have only one type of dishonor, that is called as dishonor by non-payment. Okay, so in case of a promissory note and in case of a check, we have only one type of dishonor, that is dishonor by non-payment. However, in case of bill of exchange, very very important, this is a theoretical question. In case of a bill of exchange, what are the ways of dishonor means? There are two ways of dishonor in case of a bill of exchange. Okay, there are two types of dishonor. What are the two types of dishonor in case of bill of exchange? Dishonor due to non-acceptance, dishonor due to non-payment. There are two types of dishonor. Madam, I told you, no, there are two types of presentment in case of bill of exchange. What are the two types of presentment? Presentment for acceptance, presentment for payment. In the same way for the bill also, there are two types of dishonor. Dishonor due to non-acceptance, dishonor due to non-payment. Okay, now in what cases when you can call it as a dishonor for non-acceptance? ఎప్పుడు అంటామండి మనం dishonor for non-acceptance అని అంటే, suppose when a holder went and presented the instrument to the drawee before maturity date or on a specified date. Okay, if the drawee gives any conditions, if he makes any qualifications, then what immediately drawee will do? The holder will do, holder will prepare a notice of dishonor and give it to prior parties. అవును కదమ్మా, ఇప్పుడు మనము డ్రాయి దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి కడతావా, పలానా రోజు అమౌంట్ కడతానన్నో పేమెంట్ చేస్తావా అని అంటే ఆ పర్టికులర్ డ్రాయి ఏమో రకరకాల చట్ట కండిషన్లన్నీ పెడుతున్నాడు. కట్టకుండా ఉండడం కోసమని అవాయిడ్ చేయడం కోసం కండిషన్స్ పెడుతున్నారు. వాటిని హోల్డర్ ఒప్పుకోవాలా ఒప్పుకోకూడదా? The holder should not accept to the conditions. He should immediately dishonor the instrument. Okay, next, మీరు డ్రాయింగ్ కి ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ని ప్రెజెంట్ చేసినప్పుడు హీస్ టేకింగ్ మోర్ టైం, దట్ ఇస్ మోర్ దాన్ 48 hours, విచ్ ఇస్ నాన్ యాక్సెప్టబుల్ ఇన్ ద నెగోషియబుల్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ యాక్ట్. ఎందుకంటే ఎన్ఐ యాక్ట్ లో డ్రాయింగ్ యాక్సెప్టెన్స్ కోసం అంతకన్నా ఎక్కువ టైం తీసుకోకూడదు. బట్ ఈస్ టేకింగ్ మోర్ దాన్ 48 hours. దేర్ఫోర్ ద ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ఇమీడియట్ గా ఏం చేయాలి? అప్పుడు హోల్డరు ప్రయర్ పార్టీస్ ని చార్జ్ చేయాలంటే ఇమీడియట్ గా వాటిని డిజానర్ చేసేయాలి. అర్థమవుతుందా నాన్న? సో దీస్ ఆల్ ద కేసెస్ వేర్ ద ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ఇస్ డిజానర్డ్ బై నాన్ యాక్సెప్టెన్స్. లేదు, ఎప్పుడైతే ప్రెజెంట్ చేయాలని పాపం ఎంతో ఆశగా హోల్డర్ డ్రాయి దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళాలనుకుంటారు విత్ సో మచ్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్పెక్టేషన్స్ టు ప్రెజెంట్ ద ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్, బట్ డ్రాయి ఇస్ నాట్ ఫౌండ్ ఇన్ హిస్ హౌస్ ఆర్ ఇన్ హిస్ ఆఫీస్. ఈస్ రన్నింగ్ అవే ఫ్రమ్ ద బ్యాక్ డోర్, ఎస్కేప్ అయిపోతున్నాడు యాక్సెప్టెన్స్ నుంచి. ఈస్ నాట్ ఫౌండ్. వెన్ ఎవర్ దిస్ ఫెలో ఇస్ కమింగ్ ఎంటరింగ్ ద గేట్, దిస్ ఫెలో ఇస్ గోయింగ్ అవే ఫ్రమ్ ద బ్యాక్ గేట్. సో అలా ఎస్కేప్ అవుతున్నప్పుడు ఎన్నిసార్లని పట్టుకోగలుగుతాడు? ఎన్నిసార్లని హోల్డర్ మతుకు వెతకగలుగుతాడు? ఇన్ సచ్ కేస్ డిజానర్డ్ ఇమీడియట్ గా హోల్డర్ కి విసుగొచ్చేసి నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్స్ వాళ్ళ ఇంటి చుట్టూ, డ్రాయింగ్ ఇంటి చుట్టూ, ఆఫీస్ చుట్టూ తిరుగుతూ విసుగొచ్చేసి అప్పుడు ఇమీడియట్ గా ఏం చేస్తాడమ్మా హోల్డర్? ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ డిజానర్ చేసేసి ప్రయర్ పార్టీస్ కి నోటీస్ ఆఫ్ డిజానర్ ఇస్తాడు. బికాస్ దిస్ ఫెలో ఇస్ నాట్ ఫౌండ్ ఈవెన్ ఆఫ్టర్ సో మచ్ సర్చ్. హి ఇస్ ట్రైయింగ్ టు ఎస్కేప్ ఫ్రమ్ ద యాక్సెప్టెన్స్. ఓకే, లేదా ఈ పర్టికులర్ డ్రాయింగ్ కానీ మేకర్ కానీ ఇన్కంప్లీటెడ్ అంటే వాళ్ళు మైనర్స్ అయినా వాళ్ళు ఫిక్టిషియస్ పర్సెంట్ అయినప్పుడు కూడా మనం ప్రెజెంట్మెంట్ చేయడానికి కుదరదు. కాబట్టి ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ఇస్ డిజానర్డ్ బై నాన్ యాక్సెప్టెన్స్. వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థియరిటికల్ క్వశ్చన్. సమ్ టైమ్స్ they will ask you what are the reasons for non-acceptance. Means these cases all you should mention in case when the instrument is dishonored by non-acceptance, and this is applicable only to a bill of exchange, not for a promissory note and not in case of a check. This is applicable only in case of a bill of exchange when the instrument is dishonored by non-acceptance. Okay, next, non-payment. I told you, this particular point is applicable for all the cases. It is applicable for a promissory note, it is applicable for a bill of exchange, it is applicable for a check. When the time period has arrived for payment for the maker or for the drawee of the instrument, if they fails to make the payment, what will happen? The instrument is dishonored by non-payment. Okay, then immediately what the holder have to do? He have to prepare the notice of dishonor and give it to all the prior parties. Prior parties అన్నిటికీ కూడా notice of dishonor అనేది ఇచ్చేసి వాళ్ళని లైబుల్ చేయాలి. మరి notice of dishonor లో ఏం ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఉంటుంది మేడం? What contents are written in this particular notice of dishonor means he will specifically mention what is the fact of dishonor, ఎందుకు dishonor చేశాము, అమౌంట్ ఎంత, తర్వాత what are the other reasons for dishonor, everything will be mentioned in the notice of dishonor. And it is prepared by whom? Who will prepare this notice of dishonor? It is prepared by the holder and given to all the prior parties or to the drawer of the instrument. Okay, so this is about notice. So notice of dishonor mandatory ya kada? It is mandatory to be given by the drawer, by the holder to the prior parties. If the holder fails to do so, prior parties ఏమైపోతారు? Discharge అయిపోతారు. Okay na? So this is all about notice of dishonor. But in the following cases, notice of dishonor not necessary. ఎటువంటి సందర్భాల్లో నోటీస్ ఆఫ్ డిజానర్ అవసరం లేదు అంటే, మనం ఎండోర్స్మెంట్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఎవరైనా ఫ్యాకల్టేటివ్ ఎండోర్స్మెంట్ చెప్పుకున్నాం కదా మన లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ లో, ఫ్యాకల్టేటివ్ ఎండోర్స్మెంట్ చేస్తే, ఫ్యాకల్టేటివ్ ఎండోర్స్మెంట్ అంటే వాళ్ళు మా ప్రేయర్ పార్టీస్ అంటారు మాకు నోటీస్ ఇవ్వకపోయినా మేము ఏదో రకంగా మీకు పేమెంట్ చేస్తాము, నోటీస్ ఇవ్వాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు అని స్పెసిఫిక్ గా వాళ్ళ రైట్ టు రిసీవ్ నోటీస్ ఆఫ్ డిజానర్ వేవ్ చేసేసినప్పుడు, when the right to receive notice of dishonor is waived by the any of the prior party, okay, the notice of dishonor not necessary. Or in the case where the instrument is again negotiated back to the I mean like in this particular case, when the acceptor and drawee acceptor, where the acceptor is also the drawer of the instrument, is negotiated back, in such case also notice of dishonor అనేది not necessary. లేదా specific గా already part payment మనకి already this particular fellow is not found, if the prior party is not found to give the notice of dishonor, in such case notice of dishonor is not necessary. ఇలా కొన్ని కేసెస్ లో notice of dishonor అవసరం లేదు, అటువంటి సందర్భాలు ఇవ్వకపోయినా ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ చెల్లుతుంది. ఓకేనా? సో అటువంటి సందర్భాలు ఇవ్వకపోయినా ప్రైర్ పార్టీ లైబుల్ అవుతారు. ఓకే, సో దిస్ ఇస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ ఏ dishonor of the negotiable instrument. Dishonor of negotiable instrument, dishonor by non-acceptance, dishonor by non-payment. Non-acceptance is applicable only for a bill of exchange and non-payment is for all the three cases. Now, next important theoretical question under section 138, dishonor of checks for insufficient funds. This is very, very important theoretical question. This is also called as bouncing of checks. I have already explained you previously, but once again, I'm telling you for a better understanding. Okay. What is this means? I have already told you, whoever is giving check or the person who is making payment by issue of check, అంటే చెక్ ఇస్తూ పేమెంట్ చేయాలనుకున్న వాళ్ళు ఖచ్చితంగా చెక్ ఇష్యూ చేసే ముందు వాళ్ళ అకౌంట్ లో ఫండ్ ఉందా లేదా చూసుకోవాలమ్మా. అర్థమవుతుందా నాన్న? The person who is making payment through check, he should ensure that there are sufficient funds in his account or not. Then only he should make a payment through check. అర్థమవుతుందా? అలా కాకుండా if intentional గా కానీ unintentional గానీ without sufficient funds లేకుండా మీరు చెక్ ఇష్యూ చేసేసారే అనుకోండమ్మా, then what will happen when that particular payee or the holder of the check goes to the bank? He can encash the check? No. Bank ఏం చేస్తాడు? He will refuse the payment. Banker will refuse the payment because there are no sufficient funds in the account of the drawer. Then immediately check ఏమవుతుంది? Dishonor అవుతుంది. Check, what will happen? It gets dishonored or check gets bounced back. Okay, bouncing of the check అంటారు. But then what will happen? Payee కి పేమెంట్ వస్తుందా? చెక్ మీద payee కి పేమెంట్ రాదు. Then immediately payee, what he will do? He will immediately send a notice to the drawer asking him, insisting him to make payment within 30 days. 30 days లోపల మీరు నాకు పేమెంట్ చేస్తారా చేయరా? అలా డ్రాయర్ వెంటనే 30 days లోపల ఫండ్స్ అరేంజ్ చేయకపోతే పేయీ హ్యావ్ ఆల్ రైట్స్ అండ్ నెగోషియబుల్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ యాక్ట్ టు ఫైల్ ఎ క్రిమినల్ కేస్ అగైన్స్ ద డ్రాయర్. He can file a criminal case in the court of law where he will be imprisoned up to 2 years and fined twice the amount of check or both if he fails to make payment within 30 days. అదే డ్రాయర్ అరేంజ్ చేసి పేమెంట్ చేసేసాడు అనుకోండి, పర్వాలేదు. లేదు అనుకోండి, పేయీ కేసు ఫైల్ చేస్తే the imprisonment is very tough. Okay, that is why what the negotiable instrument act says is, whenever the drawer wants to make payment through check, it is mandatory to ensure, to verify, to check whether he is having sufficient funds in his account or not. Otherwise, the banker will refuse payment to the payee and the check gets dishonored. Understood? However, this provision of section 138 is not applicable to gift checks. This particular provision is not applicable to what checks? Gift checks. When you give a gift checks for any birthday function or for any donation or something else, if that particular gift check got dishonored in the bank because of insufficient funds, the other person cannot file a case in the court of law, and the court will not accept in case of gift checks. Important examination bit. Please note down, in case of gift check, this particular provision is not applicable. Understood? Now, next. Noting or protest. Yesterday, I have also explained you the concept of noting or protest. Sometimes this concept is asked as a theoretical question in examination perspective. It is being asked as a theoretical question. Okay, so let me explain you about noting or protest in case of negotiable instrument. Okay, the word noting. Noting ante amma, especially this particular concept arises at the time of dishonor of negotiable instrument. మనకి డిజానర్ అప్పుడు వస్తుందండి. జాగ్రత్తగా వినడమ్మా. నోటింగ్ విల్ అరైజ్ ఓన్లీ ఎట్ ద టైమ్ ఆఫ్ డిజానర్ ఆఫ్ నెగోషియబుల్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్. ఓకే, what will happen in this particular case? When the instrument is dishonored because of non-payment or non-acceptance, then holder, what he will do, he will take the instrument to a notary public. That notary public is a government officer. The holder will take to him and ask that particular notary public to please give his signature and disclose the fact of dishonor on the instrument or on a separate paper attached to it. By doing this, the holder can get a better security when he files this particular thing in the court of law. ఎప్పుడైతే ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ డిజానర్ అయిందో బికాస్ ఆఫ్ నాన్ యాక్సెప్టెన్స్ కానీ నాన్ పేమెంట్ కానీ డిజానర్ అయితే హోల్డర్ ఏం చేస్తాడంటే కొన్ని సందర్భాలలో నోటరీ పబ్లిక్ దగ్గరికి అప్రోచ్ అయ్యి ఆ పర్టికులర్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ని నోటరీ చేత సంతకం చేయించుకుంటాడండి, అటెస్ట్ చేయించుకుంటారు. ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఎందుకు డిజాల్వ్ అయిందన్న కారణాలు మెన్షన్ చేసి ఆ పర్టికులర్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంతా కూడా రికార్డ్ చేస్తారు ఆ పర్టికులర్ నెగోషియబుల్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ లో. అలా చేయడం వల్ల హోల్డర్ కి ఫ్యూచర్ లో ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ మీద కోర్టులో కేసు వేస్తే తన దగ్గర ఉన్న ఈ డాక్యుమెంట్ గానీ తన దగ్గర ఉన్న నెగోషియబుల్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ గానీ విచ్ ఇస్ నోటెడ్ బై ద నోటరీ పబ్లిక్ విల్ యాక్ట్ యాజ్ ఎ బెటర్ ఎవిడెన్స్ అండ్ బెటర్ ప్రూఫ్ ఇన్ ద కోర్ట్ ఆఫ్ లా. In order to provide an evidence in the court of law, noting is very, very important. Therefore, NI Act says that noting is not necessary in all the cases of dishonor. Only when it is specifically asked in certain areas, please go and do the noting with the notary public. As I have previously mentioned, in case of acceptor for honor, payment for honor, అటువంటి సందర్భాల్లో నోటింగ్ కావాలి అని స్పెసిఫిక్ గా ఒక కండిషన్ పెట్టారు వాళ్ళు NI Act వాళ్ళు. అటువంటి సందర్భాల్లో నోటింగ్ చేయించుకోండి. అంతేగాని కావాలంటే హోల్డర్ చేయించుకోవచ్చు. నోటింగ్ ఇస్ అన్ ఆప్షనల్ ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ నెగోషియబుల్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ యాక్ట్. ఓకే, whenever the holder gets noting done, he should pay some noting charges to the notary public. ఏం చేయాలండి అప్పుడు? నోటింగ్ చార్జెస్ పే చేయాలి. ఎవరికి పే చేయాలి? నోటరీ పబ్లిక్ కి నోటింగ్ చార్జెస్ పే చేయాలి. మేడం మరి ప్రొటెస్ట్ అంటే ఏంటి మేడం? వాట్ ఇస్ meant by protest means? Protest is continuation of noting. What is this, madam? What is continuation? Once you take the dishonored negotiable instrument to the notary public, he is a government officer. You will tell him, I should get this money from so and so person. He did not make the payment because of so and so reason. Please write this notary public. If you want, you please ask with that fellow. This is his phone number. This is his mail ID. Please ask him and please record this particular fact of dishonor. Okay, and I along after please recording this fact of dishonor, I want to get this protested also. Protested means the holder is asking for additional certificate from the notary public. Holder is not satisfied with the signature of the notary public in the instrument. He is asking for that additional certificate. Please give me extra certificate also. Okay, so that extra certificate or additional certificate given by the notary public at the time of dishonor of the instrument is called as protest. What is protest? It's an additional certificate given by the notary public after noting of the instrument. It is done after noting of the instrument. Therefore, important examination bit, please note down, protest is mandatory for all foreign bills when they are dishonored. According to the Negotiable Instrument Act, protest is mandatory for whom? For all the foreign bills which are dishonored. Understood? Okay, so noting, after noting, protest will continue. First noting will be done by the notary public by giving a sign on that particular instrument, for which the charges are paid by the holder. Then if the holder insists for the additional certificate, that is called as protest. And protest is compulsory for foreign goods, and for that also extra amount should be paid by the holder to the notary public. Understood? This is all about noting and protest, which is made by the holder. ఎప్పుడు జరుగుతుంది పర్టికులర్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ at the time of dishonor of the negotiable instrument. ఎందుకు కావాలి నోటింగ్ ప్రొటెస్ట్ అంటే, అలా ఒక లీగల్ డాక్యుమెంట్ మీద ఆ పర్టికులర్ ప్రూఫ్ ని మనం అటాచ్ చేయడం వల్ల ఫ్యూచర్ లో దీనికి సంబంధించిన ఏదైనా కేసు మనం కోర్టులో ఫైల్ చేయాలంటే కోర్టుకి, బికాస్ కోర్ట్ విల్ గివ్ జడ్జ్మెంట్ ఓన్లీ ఆన్ ఎవిడెన్స్, ఓన్లీ ఆన్ ప్రూఫ్. అండర్స్టూడ్? ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు మేక్ బిలీవ్ దట్ కోర్టు నమ్మకం చేయడం కోసం ఇది ఒక ఎవిడెన్స్ గా, ఒక ప్రూఫ్ గా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. కాబట్టి నోటింగ్ గాని ప్రొటెస్ట్ గాని చేయించుకోండి అంటున్నారు. అర్థమైందా నాన్న? సో ఇట్ యాక్ట్స్ as a better security. So this is all about noting and protest. See how it is done. So we have seen what is discharge, dishonor of the negotiable instrument in case of by non-acceptance and by non-payment. Now let us come to discharge of negotiable instrument. This is the last concept. Once I complete this, I will again explain you the kinds of endorsements for that particular, materiality and all those aspects also I will explain. If you have any more doubts, you can ask me. You can mention me in the chat whether you have any doubts, so that I will try to clarify those doubts also regarding the negotiable instruments. Okay. What is meant by discharge? Discharge అంటే ఆ పర్టికులర్ నెగోషియబుల్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ సంబంధించిన నెగోసియేషన్ అంతా కూడా కంప్లీట్ అయిపోయింది, పేమెంట్ వచ్చేసింది, ఇంకా ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ఇంకా ఫర్దర్ నెగోసియేషన్ కుదరదు, అక్కడతో ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ స్టాప్ అయిపోయింది అని అర్థం. ఓకేనా? అయితే అండి, ఇక్కడ there are two types of discharge. That is discharge of negotiable instrument, discharge of parties. Both are not same. Discharge of negotiable instrument means complete discharge of the instrument, and all the parties relating to the instrument are also discharged from their liability. Discharge of party means only few of the members, few of the prior parties of the instrument are discharged, not everyone. Understood? Chala difference undamma. Discharge of instrument is separate, discharge of parties is separate. Okay, now tell me, instrument అనేది ఎప్పుడు డిశ్చార్జ్ అవుతుంది? when the negotiable instrument either promissory note గాని, బిల్లు గాని, చెక్ గాని ఎప్పుడు డిజానర్ అవుతుంది? ఎవరైతే ఆ పర్టికులర్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ మీద ఎవరైతే ప్రైమరీ పార్టీ పే చేయాలో, అది మేకర్ గాని అయి ఉండొచ్చు, డ్రాయర్ గాని అయి ఉండొచ్చు, డ్రాయర్ గాని అయి ఉండొచ్చు, ఎవరైతే పే చేయాలో వాళ్ళు ఆన్ ది డ్యూ డేట్ సక్రమంగా హోల్డర్ ఆఫ్ ది ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ పేమెంట్ చేస్తే ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ డిశ్చార్జ్ అయిపోతుంది అని మనం చెప్తున్నాం. అంతే కదా నాన్న? Okay, who is primary party liable on the instrument? If he makes proper payment on the instrument to the holder of the instrument, then automatically what will happen? The instrument is discharged. And here one more point also, please note down students, which I have already told you. In this particular case, the instrument is discharged only when payment ఒక్కటి చేసేస్తే సరిపోదు నాన్న. ఎవరైతే పీపీఎల్ పేమెంట్ చేస్తారో ఆ హోల్డర్ దగ్గర నుంచి ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ని మళ్ళీ వెనక్కి తీసుకోవాలి. ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ వెనక్కి తీసుకొని ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ మీద ఖచ్చితంగా దట్ పర్టికులర్ యాక్సెప్టర్ గానీ, మేకర్ గానీ, డ్రాయర్ గానీ యూ షుడ్ మెన్షన్ ఇట్ యాస్ క్యాన్సిల్డ్ ఆర్ పెయిడ్ కంప్లీట్లీ అని రాసేసి ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ని డిస్ట్రాయ్ చేయాలి. లేకపోతే పే చేసేసిన తర్వాత ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ అలాగే మీరు హోల్డర్ దగ్గర కానీ ఎక్కడైనా బయట వదిలేశారనుకోండి, ఇట్ విల్, ఇఫ్ సంబడి టేక్స్ బై ఫ్రాడ్ దట్ పర్టికులర్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్, హీ కెన్ హ్యావ్ ద ఛాన్సెస్ ఆఫ్ ఫర్దర్ నెగోసియేషన్, ఫర్దర్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేసే అవకాశాలు ఉంటాయి. అందుకని ఖచ్చితంగా ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ని ఏం చేయాలి మనము? whoever makes the payment, he should definitely take back the instrument, write on the particular instrument cancelled or paid, he should tear it into pieces. దీన్ని కూడా చాలా సార్లు ప్రాక్టికల్ క్వశ్చన్ లో అడిగారండి. ద ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ పేమెంట్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత యాక్సెప్టర్ గాని, మేకర్ గాని ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ అలా పొరపాటు వదిలేశారు, ఎవరో ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ తీసుకొని దాన్ని ఎండోస్ చేశారు, ఇస్ ఇట్ వ్యాలిడ్ ఆర్ చేయొచ్చు? అగైన్ యాక్సెప్టర్ లైబిలిటీ అనేది కంటిన్యూ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. అందుకని మీ లైబిలిటీ స్టాప్ అయిపోవాలంటే మీరు ఏం చేయాలి? ఎవరైతే పేమెంట్ చేయాలనుకుంటారో వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా ముందు ఆ పర్టికులర్ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ని మీద క్యాన్సిల్డ్ అని రాసి దాన్ని డిస్ట్రాయ్ చేశారు, చింపేయాలి, నామరూపాలు కూడా చింపేయాలని. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ డిశ్చార్జ్ ఆఫ్ ద ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్. ఇన్ వాట్ వేస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ డిశ్చార్జ్? మెథడ్స్ ఆఫ్ డిశ్చార్జ్. ఇక్కడ మనకి there are so many methods for discharge. That is by payment in due course, primary party, that is a acceptor or maker becoming holder of the instrument, by cancellation, by simple contract, or by insolvency of the PPL. Okay, they're very simple. They theoretical, they may ask in the examination what is called as discharge of the instrument and explain with the methods of discharge of instrument. Annar and Kunama, you have to mention all these methods. Understood? If they specifically ask you what is discharge of the negotiable instrument, and if they ask you what are the methods, you have to write in detail. Number one, by payment in due course, already I have explained you. Next, if the acceptor or the maker or the drawer again becomes by negotiation back, if they again became the holder of the instrument and Kundama, in such cases, if they became again the holder, they themselves will make payment. వాళ్ళకి మళ్ళీ డ్యూరింగ్ ద కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎండోర్స్మెంట్ లో నెగోసియేషన్ బ్యాక్ అన్న కాన్సెప్ట్ లో ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ వెనక్కి మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళకి వచ్చింది. వచ్చినప్పుడు అప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి వాళ్ళే పేమెంట్ చేసుకుంటారా? చేసుకోరు కదా. అటువంటి సందర్భాల్లో ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ ఏమైపోతుంది? డిశ్చార్జ్. ప్రైయర్ పార్టీస్ డిశ్చార్జ్ అయిపోతారు, ఆ ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్ కూడా డిశ్చార్జ్ అయిపోతుంది. ఇఫ్ ద ప్రైమరీ పార్టీ దట్ ఈస్ యాక్సెప్టర్ ఆర్ మేకర్ బికమ్స్ అ హోల్డర్ ఆఫ్ ద ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్. ఓకే, లేదా వెన్ ద హోల్డర్ హిమ్సెల్ఫ్, హోల్డర్ కి జాలి, దయ, కరుణ ఎక్కువ. హోల్డర్ ఏం చేశాడు? నాన్న యాక్సెప్టర్ మేకర్ ఇప్పుడు కరోనా టైం కట్టలేవు కానీ ఐఎమ్ రిలీవింగ్ యూ, ఐఎమ్ క్యాన్సిలింగ్ యువర్ లైబిలిటీ అనేసాడు అనుకోండి మా హోల్డర్. Holder is relieving the liability of an acceptor or maker, then what will happen? Prior parties are also discharged, instrument is also discharged. Ante kada. Okay, who is relieving, who is asking please don't make me any payment? Holder himself is saying I don't want any payment, then happily he can escape from the payment. Okay, next, by discharge as a simple contract in place of some okay, in place of some old contract, a new contract has been substituted. Or if there is any change or alterations in with the old contract among the parties, if there is any change in the old contract, in such cases also negotiable instrument will be discharged. Understood? Okay, so these are the number one, when the primary party liable, he makes the payment. Number two, when he himself becomes the holder of the instrument. Number three, when holder himself intentionally cancel the liability of an acceptor or a maker, then also the instrument is discharged. And third case, when there are any alterations in the contract by substituting a new contract in place of old contract, then old contract will get discharged and the new contract will begin. Last one is insolvency. When the maker or acceptor becomes insolvent, they filed an insolvency petition in the court of law, they became insolvent. Okay, in such cases they are unable to make the payment, then what will happen? Prior parties also say we are also no more liable, because primary party himself is primary debtor himself is not able to pay. So they also get discharged and entire instrument get discharged. So these are the areas or the consequences when an instrument is discharged. Means here, if instrument is discharged, totally all the liabilities of the prior parties will also get discharged. Okay. Now next, discharge of parties. Very, very important. Discharge of party doesn't mean discharge of instrument. Here only few parties are escaping from the liability. For example, I have already told you when I'm explaining you bills of exchange concept, acceptance for bills of exchange. If the holder allows a drawee more than 48 hours for acceptance, I told what will happen? The prior parties will get discharged from the liability, right? By allowing more time to the drawee, if you are so sympathetic on drawee, if you allow more time, even if 5 more minutes extra for the drawee, what will happen to prior parties? Prior parties are discharged. Only prior parties are discharged. Instrument is not discharged. Still the liability continues until you receive the payment. But for you, the chance of asking prior parties is cancelled, is no more left, because there are discharges from the liability. Second case, when the holder, when he went and asked the acceptor for payment, if acceptor keeps any condition, what did I say? What did I tell you at that time? If some acceptor is keeping any condition, what the what the holder have to do? He have to accept for the conditions, or he have to immediately right away reject those conditions? He should reject the conditions. He should not accept. If any of the acceptor gives a qualified acceptance, if he gives a qualified acceptance, immediately what the holder should do, he should reject. Otherwise, if he nicely, innocently accept after the conditions kept by the drawee, then what will happen to prior parties? All the prior parties are discharged from the liability. Okay. Next, if any of the prior party makes the payment on behalf of the drawee or maker, only the prior party who makes the payment and the next immediate subsequent parties are discharged from the liability. That prior party becomes the holder of the instrument. So in this way, only parties are discharged from the instrument, not the instrument. Okay. Next, by cancellation. If the holder, what he does, there are prior parties A, B, C, D, E, F is a holder. Okay. If this particular F, what he thought, he thought D is my best friend. I want to relieve D from the liability. I am cancelling the liability of D. If by mistake F holder cancels the liability of D, after D, who is there? E. E's liability is also cancelled. Okay. In Negotiable Instrument Act, remember students, this is a very important point. If the holder cancels the liability of any of the prior party without the consent of other prior parties, the subsequent prior party is also discharged. Please note down this point. I told you, in case of A, B, C, D, E, and F, F is the holder. F thinks that D is his friend. He wants to cancel or reduce his liability. Then immediately the immediate party E will also be discharged. Those both will be no more liable to F. Then F can claim only from A, B, C. Understood? Therefore, his option of getting money from D and E is gone, lost. Okay. So this is in case if a holder cancelling the liability of any of the prior party without the consent of other prior parties, the subsequent prior parties are also discharged. Okay. So these are the few of the cases for discharge of parties. Next, material alteration. I told you, if any of the endorser or the holder without the consent of prior parties make any changes on the instrument, important changes. What are those material changes? I will explain you once again after I complete this. If they make some material changes with regard to time, date, amount on the instrument, if they make changes, if any of the holder or the endorser without the permission of the prior parties make changes, the prior parties all are discharged. His prior parties would be discharged from the liability. Understood? That is all about material alteration. Next, negotiation back. During the course of endorsement, if the instrument is, example I'll tell you, instrument is endorsed from A to B, B to C, C to D, again from D to, it again came to B, no? Then all the parties from B and B, that is C and D, what will happen? They are discharged from the liabilities. Because again, B is becoming the holder of the instrument. Then for B, who is the only party liable to pay? If the drawee fails to pay, A is liable to pay. Okay. During the course of endorsement, if the instrument again negotiated back to the prior party himself, the intermediary prior parties are discharged from the liability. This one also, once again, I will explain you. I'll show the picture and I will explain you. Okay. Next, by operation of law. If any of the prior parties became insolvent, they filed a petition in the court of law, they got insolvency petition, he can escape from the liability. Only he will escape from the liability, not other prior parties. That is why here they're clearly saying that only parties are discharged, but not the instrument. Okay. So, by default of the holder, I told you, if the holder accepts to any condition, or holder did not make a presentation without presenting, if there is draw in case of need on the particular bill, without submitting the instrument or without showing to draw in case of need, if he dishonors and gives the notice of dishonor for prior parties, the prior parties, what they will do, they will get discharged. Okay, if both draw in case of need, the holder should ask both of them. If both of them are unable to pay only, then the holder should give the notice of dishonor to prior parties. If he fails to show to draw in case of need, then prior parties say, you did not ask that fellow, you did not follow the protocol, you did not follow the formality, so we are escaping from the liability. Please ask them, please wait until your drawee pays the money. Okay, so these are few defaults. If that particular holder follows some protocols of the Negotiable Instrument Act, then the instrument then the parties get discharged, but not the instrument. These are the cases where the different parties, discharge of parties to the instrument in case by cancellation, by payment, by allowing more time to draw, by qualified acceptance, by material alteration, by negotiation, by operation of law, and by default of the holder. These are different examples when the instrument get discharged by parties, discharge of parties of the instrument. Okay, so discharge is of two types: discharge of the negotiable instrument, discharge of the parties. Both are different. Discharge of instrument is complete discharge of the instrument. Discharge of parties means only parties are discharged. Again, the instrument is not discharged and payment is not yet received by the holder of the instrument. Okay, So these are all aspects I have, as yesterday's class also I have explained you, but because of the failure of PPT, I'm explaining once again all these points. These are very, very important concepts in Negotiable Instrument Act. We have seen today the points regarding presentment. We have seen points regarding acceptance in case of bills of exchange, general acceptance, qualified acceptance, and we have seen dishonor of the negotiable instruments, and we have also explained you regarding the noting and protest and discharge of the instrument. Now let us go to the another part of the negotiable instrument. Hope everyone understood. If you have any doubts, you can ask me regarding this particular point, and I will explain you the another concept for today. Okay. Okay, fine. If you're asking to explain in English, okay, definitely I'll explain in English and Telugu. Okay, thank you so much. Any more doubts, you can ask me. And the other part today, what I'm going to discuss is regarding material alterations and regarding crossing and endorsement. I will explain you those cases now. These all we have seen in the first two chapters, the introduction for the Negotiable Instrument Act, first 2 days. You can see day 18 and day 19 is very clear. Those both days for Negotiable Instrument Act, you can see in YouTube my like my classes for day 18 and day 19 of Negotiable Instrument Act. Please check those both days for better explanation for the initial part. And now let's come to this endorsement part. Very, very important. I just wanted to explain the difference between negotiation and endorsement. Please, everybody listen carefully the difference between negotiation and endorsement. Okay. What is negotiation, madam? Okay. What is negotiation? In case of a bill, you know the three important negotiable instruments. I'll ask you one more bit here. Does a currency or like a currency or a bank notes or a currency notes or a coins, you can call it as negotiable instrument? No. According to Negotiable Instrument Act, they are not recognized as negotiable instrument. Only promissory note, bill of exchange, or check are considered as a negotiable instrument. And NI Act is applicable to whole of India. These are few important bits. And stamping is essential only in case of a bill of exchange and a promissory. Now, madam, what is negotiation? The initial transaction which takes place between the immediate parties like maker and payee in case of a promissory note, drawer and drawee in case of a bill of exchange, drawee and payee in case of a check. That initial transaction which took place is called as negotiation. What will happen in case of a promissory note? Who will prepare the promissory note? Maker will prepare the promissory note and he will sign that. He say that I promised to pay this much of amount at this particular interest on so and so date. He will, or after a few months I will pay. He will mention and he will sign the instrument. Then what this maker will do after preparing that particular promissory note, he should deliver it to the payee. He should deliver it to the creditor. So in this particular case, he can deliver directly to the payee or he can hand over it to any agent or an officer of that particular payee. That particular aspect is called as negotiation and delivery. Okay, the delivery is voluntary. Either the maker can deliver the instrument or on behalf of the maker, somebody can deliver the instrument. That simple process is called negotiation and delivery. In this particular case of delivery, the instrument might be a bearer instrument or order instrument, as the case may be. Okay, this is called as negotiation. Negotiation is completed. Therefore, the instrument is delivered by maker to payee. Once the creditor receives the instrument, okay, if he can wait until due date, if the creditor or the payee of the promissory note can wait until due date, which comes only after 3 months, if he can wait, he only will continue to be the holder of the instrument till the due date. If he cannot continue, he also is in need of urgent money. If he wants funds, then what this particular payee or the holder does, then what he can do, he has an option for transferring the instrument. No. He has an option for endorsement. No. Then what he have to do as a payee or as a holder of the instrument, he have to turn back the instrument. He have to mention it on it clearly that all this particular contents of the instrument are transferred to Mr. X. Okay, he will specify and he should sign as an endorser or as a holder of the instrument. Then when he delivers that particular instrument to X, this particular process after signing and delivering the instrument to X is called as endorsement and delivery. That endorsement would complete only after the endorser or the holder or the payee signs the instrument and deliver it to the endorsee, that is to Mr. X. Understood? The second once after negotiation, the next aspect which is going to happen by the holder or the endorser is called as an endorsement. The person who is endorsing the instrument is called as an endorser, and the person to whom it is endorsed is called as an endorsee. Okay, now that is called as endorsement and delivery. Endorsement, here note down this important point. Endorsement is complete only after endorser signs the instrument either on back of the instrument or on a separate paper attached to it. If he signs the instrument and if he delivers to the endorsee, then only endorsement is completed. Okay, now see this, how that endorsement takes place. Okay, therefore what is essential for endorsement? Writing is essential and it must be signed by the holder of the instrument. Whoever wants to endorse the instrument, so they have to mandatorily sign. See how it is mentioned on that, either on back of the instrument or on a separate paper attached to it. Okay, by endorsing the instrument, the endorser is transferring all the right, title, interest on the instrument to that particular other party. So all the right is also transferred to the endorsee. Now, the types of endorsement, very, very important from examination perspective. What is endorsement? What are types of endorsement? They can ask you for examination point of view. Okay, then what are the different types of endorsement? You have blank endorsement, full endorsement, partial endorsement, restrictive endorsement, qualified endorsement, sans recourse endorsement, facultative endorsement. I'll explain you in a briefer way so that you can listen to all these points. What is called as blank endorsement? Blank endorsement means when an endorser is endorsing the instrument without mentioning his name, without mentioning the name of an endorsee. If he just sign on the instrument without specifying the name of an endorsee, that is called as blank endorsement. Okay, so next, when it comes to special or full endorsement, if he specifically mentioned the name of endorsee, ఎండోర్సీ పేరు వాళ్ళ డీటెయిల్స్ అన్ని ఇచ్చి స్పెసిఫై చేసి ఎండోర్సర్ గా తిని సంతకం పెడితే దాన్ని స్పెషల్ ఆర్ ఫుల్ ఎండోర్స్మెంట్ అంటాం. నెక్స్ట్, రిస్ట్రిక్టివ్ ఎండోర్స్మెంట్. Restrictive endorsement means as an endorser, you are restricting the other party right to endorse by specifically mentioning on the endorsement, pay the contents to A only or pay to A only. Like that, if you specifically mention the contents are transferred only to the particular person, that is called as restrictive endorsement. Okay. Next, partial endorsement is very important from the BITS perspective. In this particular partial endorsement, what happens is, here what is a very important part of negotiable instrument you have to understand. You have, whenever you want to make the transfer of negotiable instrument, you should transfer the entire instrument. You cannot transfer the part of the negotiable instrument. Suppose the value of the negotiable instrument is 5 lakh rupees. If you are in need of only 2 lakhs, you cannot transfer the instrument for just 2 lakhs amount. If you want the money, even 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs, you should transfer the entire negotiable instrument. That's the important condition of negotiable instrument. Partial endorsement is not at all possible. Then what is this? Suppose on that particular negotiable instrument on 5 lakh rupees, you already received 3 lakhs from that particular acceptor or the drawee. You already received. And balance you have to receive 2 lakhs, which the drawee told you would make payment of 2 lakhs after 2 months. Then in between 2 months, if you want to transfer the instrument, you can transfer it for the balance, for the balance part of the instrument. If you want, you can transfer for the balance amount. But initially, when you want to endorse or transfer, you cannot make a part transfer or partial transfer. Understood? Very important. If you do it, it is valid, it is void under negotiable instrument act. If at all you want to endorse the entire negotiable instrument. Otherwise, endorse it for balance amount, but not for a part of the amount. Okay, that is about partial endorsement. Next, facultative endorsement. I told you, this is also conditional endorsement, where the endorser is a very nice, honest, sincere person. He is saying that I am still liable to make payment to the holder, even though holder fails to give me the notice of disorder. It means that he is wavering. He is leaving off his right to receive the notice of dishonor. He is cancelling. Wave is nothing but cancelling his right to receive the notice of dishonor. During the course of endorsement, if any of the endorser cancels his right to receive the notice of dishonor, that is called as facultative endorsement. Okay. Next one is sans recourse endorsement, which is very, very important from examination perspective. Here, I have mentioned you this particular point of case study. Please, everyone, that case study is asked number of times in different ways for the examination practical question for 4 marks. Okay, understand. Sans recourse means during the course of endorsement, if anyone on the instrument, when they sign the instrument as an endorser, if they use the word sans recourse or without recourse or excluding his liability, it means that when the instrument is dishonored by non-acceptance or non-payment, the holder should not ask this particular fellow who is making sans recourse endorsement because he is escaped from the liability. This option is utilized by this particular endorser, which is given under Negotiable Instrument Act, and other parties have also accepted for utilization of this particular option. See, I have shown a case law. When the instrument is endorsed from M to N, M is an endorser who is nicely writing when he is signing the instrument. Below that he wrote sans recourse. It means that what it is, why I have cancelled the M there, why it is showing as cancelled means, it means that M is escaping from his liability. M is nicely escaping from his liability. Okay, when the M from M it is transferred to N, N to P, P to Q, Q to R, and again it is negotiated back to M. Now M became the holder of the instrument. Now tell me who is all liable to M? It is N, P, Q, and R all are liable to M because M initially escaped. Suppose if the instrument M it didn't go to M, it is with R only. Okay, if the instrument is with R. And R is the holder of the instrument at present. Think R is the holder of the instrument now. Now the instrument is dishonored. R can whom he will ask for whom he will send the notice of dishonor. Can he send to Q? Yes. Can he send to P? Yes. Can he send notice of dishonor to N? Yes, sir. Can he send to M? No, because M made sans recourse endorsement. Therefore, M is escaped from the liability. Therefore, only N, P, Q would be liable to R if R is the holder of the instrument. This is the second case. Since in this particular case, again, the instrument is negotiated back to M. Therefore, all the prior parties are liable to M. Okay, this is about sans recourse endorsement. Next, I have already told you qualified or conditional endorsement. During the course of endorsement, if endorser keeps any condition saying that you can transfer the instrument on happening or non-happening of the event or pay to A on marriage of after my sister. So like that, if he keeps any conditions, that is called as conditional or qualified endorsement. Next, sans phrases and star mark you keep about for sans phrases endorsement star mark because it is asked in examination bit. Sans phrases endorsement is a simple bit where you can say if endorser during the course of endorsement, if he specifically mentioned the word sans phrases, it means that he is excluding himself from any expenditure which would happen or incur in the course of endorsement. అంటే ఎండోర్స్మెంట్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు ఏదైనా ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ ఏమైనా వచ్చినట్లయితే ఆ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ నుంచి తనని తాను ఎక్స్క్లూడ్ చేసుకుంటున్నాడు బై యూజింగ్ ద వర్డ్ sans phrases. The endorser is excluding himself from the liability by writing the word sans phrases. Okay, therefore it is for bit. Facultative endorsement, sans phrases endorsement, both points can be asked as a bit when due for your bits of 30 marks. So please note down. Please keep it as an important bit. Okay, so these are different types of endorsement. These are different types of blank endorsement, special endorsement, restrictive endorsement, qualified endorsement, sans recourse endorsement, sans phrases endorsement, facultative endorsement. Sans recourse endorsement is important examination practical question perspective. It is important. What will happen, madam, after in case of this endorsement? By endorsement, you are transferring, endorser is transferring his right of the instrument, ownership of the instrument to some other party called as endorsee. And the endorsee, if he wants before maturity or after maturity, he can further endorse until he receives the payment from the primary party, that is drawee or the acceptor of the instrument. Okay. This next concept, negotiation back, is also important from practical angle. Please see this practical question perspective also. This particular point is important. Negotiation back. Okay. In this case of negotiation back, what happens is during the course of endorsement, in a circular motion, in a circular perspective, if the instrument is negotiated back to any of the prior party, then what will happen? The intermediary parties are discharged from the liability. Here, see the second example once. The instrument is endorsed from P to Q, Q to R, R to S, S to T, T to U, and again the instrument is endorsed to R. Means the prior party himself is again becoming the holder of the instrument through negotiation back. Then what will happen to intermediary parties? Intermediary parties are discharged from the liability. Only the prior party to R are liable to R when the instrument is dishonored. Who would be liable to R? P and Q. So this concept is very important. Once again, understand. Okay. In this particular concept of negotiation back, during the course of endorsement, if the instrument is endorsed from one party to other party in the course of endorsement, and if any of the prior party becomes the holder of the instrument, then the intermediary parties are discharged and only the prior party to that holder is liable to the instrument. See this example. Yes, T and U are discharged, only P and Q are liable. In the same way, then the instrument is endorsed from A to B, B to C, C to D, and again to A. Then what happened to the intermediary parties? They are discharged. B, C, and D are cancelled from their liability. And who is liable to A? Only the primary party, whoever is their maker or payee, as the case may be. Maker or the drawee, as the case may be. All the intermediary parties, what will happen? They are discharged from the liability. This is an example for negotiation back. Negotiation back and sans recourse are very, very important from practical question perspective. 4 marks they are asking for as a practical question. Please work out problems relating to negotiation back and sans recourse. Very important. Okay. Now, next come to assignment. This is very simple. Negotiation and assignment. Sometimes they are asking an examination for 2 marks. What is negotiation, madam? What is assignment? In case of negotiation, the instrument is transferred. No, endorsement will happen. But in case of assignment, the instrument is not endorsed. Here, if one person have to receive some amount from somebody, he is transferring his right to receive the amount to some other person. Under Transfer of Property Acts, if you transfer this right by in a writing on a document, that is called as assignment. If you transfer this right in a writing on a document, is called as an assignment. When you assign your right to receive the money to some other party, that is called as assignment. And when you are transferring, you should give this notice to the particular debtor. Whoever has to make the payment, we will say him, hello, Mr. Debtor, I am transferring my right to my brother. So on behalf of me, my brother will collect money from you. So please pay him. This is the permission letter I have given to my brother. So my brother will come and collect money from you. So you please pay my brother. Okay, that is called as notice of assignment. The person who is transferring the right is assignment. The person to whom it is transferred is called assignee. Okay, here you are giving that right to your brother. There is no consideration between me and my brother. No, there is no consideration at all. Okay, we didn't have any transaction here. In case of endorsement, in case of negotiation, you endorse it from one person to other person only if there is some consideration. Here, no consideration, nothing. Yeah, simply because I am going out of town or I am traveling to some other place, I am assigning my right to my brother or to my agent. That is called as assignment. Okay, negotiation and assignment. Before telling this particular crossing of checks, let me explain you this particular concept of material alteration. Okay. Now, material alteration is very, very important. What is meant by material alteration, madam? Okay. Whenever, whoever prepares the instrument, tell me, in case of promissory note, who will prepare the instrument? In case of promissory note, who will prepare the instrument? The maker will prepare the instrument. In case of bill of exchange, who will prepare the instrument? The drawer will prepare the instrument. Okay. Now, in case of a check, who will prepare the instrument? The drawer will prepare the instrument. And when these persons preparing the instrument regarding time, regarding date of payment, regarding the amount, who will write? They only will write, no? Okay. And who will sign? The respective persons will sign. The respective PPL, that is maker, drawer will sign the instrument. After the preparation of instrument, can anybody make changes to that instrument without the permission of the initial parties? Can anyone make? No, they should not make. If they make, what will happen? The instrument is materially altered, which makes instrument void. Therefore, because of material alteration, what will happen for the instrument? Instrument becomes void. Okay. Suppose if the alteration is made by the person himself before at the time of preparation. Suppose when the maker is writing the instrument, some mistake had happened. If he corrected the mistake, if the maker himself corrected the mistake, That is not called as material alteration because he is doing it before the issuing of the instrument. Alteration. So it is not called as material alteration. If not, if other than this, if any of the endorser or prior parties alter or do material changes to the instrument without the permission of prior parties, then in their hands the instrument becomes void. Okay, in their hands, what will happen to the instrument? It becomes void. Okay, we can see this particular examples of material alterations. What are considered as examples for material alterations are alterations with regard to date of the instrument, alterations of amount payable, alteration in time of payment, alteration in payment place of payment, alteration in respect of rate of interest, alteration of new party to an instrument, conversion of blank endorsement to special endorsement, alteration of clause of instrument containing penal action. All these alterations, if you alter the instrument without the permission of prior parties or the persons who have made the instrument, if we alter them, it is called as material alteration and the instrument becomes void. However, these following are not considered as material alteration. What are those? In case of an incomplete instrument, if there is some blank relating to amount, if you fill that particular amount, or when you convert a blank endorsement into full endorsement. I told you at the time of crossing of the check on the top left corner, either the drawer can cross the check or holder can cross the check. Okay, so when the whole drawer forgets, if the holder cross, that is not called as material alteration, but banker should not cross the check. Or converting a general crossing into special crossing, addition of words on demand on the note, or correction. If for example, if you correct an year, somebody wrote 2019 instead of writing 2020, or the maker by mistake he wrote 2019 by writing 20, you corrected the year number, then it is also not called as a material alteration. Okay, so if any alterations are made before issuing the instrument by the maker himself, by the drawer himself, they themselves make some changes, then those also not called as material alteration. So we have seen examples for material alterations. We have seen some examples which are not material alterations. Now in example, now there is a practical question here given to you. Very, very important. Let us answer this particular practical question. In exams, they will ask you like the state whether the following is material alteration or not. Madam, directly we should write yes or no, or we should mention some information. Yes, it is necessary for you to write the provision of material alteration before giving yes or no. Okay, before writing yes or no, what you have to do, you should specifically mention the provision. Why it is called as material alteration, why it is not called as material alteration. See the first example. Holder of bill of exchange accelerates the date of bill of exchange to postpone the time of payment. Is it material alteration or not? Yes, it is a material alteration because they're changing the date here. They're postponing the time of payment. Therefore, it is called as material alteration. The second one, the drawer of the negotiable instrument draws a bill but forget to write the words or order. Later holder inserted the words. This is not material alteration. If you write this particular words or order, something like that, or crossing, this is not a material alteration. So it's not a material alteration. A bill payable 3 months after date is altered into bill payable 3 months after sight. This is material alteration. You know why? Because here, remember very carefully, students, when I'm explaining you while calculating the due date or maturity date, if for in case when the bill is payable after sight means you should calculate the date from date of acceptance, not from the date when it is drawn. Here, a bill it is specifically mentioning on the face of the bill as 3 months after a date. Okay, but instead of writing after date, he has changed it as after sight. Means what? Calculation of due date from where it will begin from date of acceptance means you are increasing the date there. Therefore, it is also considered as material alteration. Okay. Fourth one, a bill is accepted payable at Union Bank, but holder without the consent of the acceptor, he changed the bank name only and wrote syndicated bank. Who are you to change the bank name? So that is also material alteration. A bill was dated 2015 instead of 2016. Later, agent of the drawer corrected the mistake. Yes, I told you, no, by mistake, if you make any mistake in writing the year, it can be altered by anyone. It is not called as material alteration. Be in possession of an incomplete inchoate instrument where the amount has not written on the instrument, writes the amount himself. In such case also, it is not a material alteration. Take possession of an uncrossed check. Take the holder of the check What did he do once he received the check from drawer? He specifically mentioned account pay. Yes, he can write no. I told no. Once the check is uncrossed, you can cross or you can use the words account pay. The holder can do by himself. Drawer చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, holder కూడా చేస్తారు. These are few examples. Whether there is material alteration or whether there is no material alteration or not, you can identify, you can understand the concept, you apply the concept to this particular practical question and state whether it is material alteration or not. This is also very important concept from examination perspective. Okay, so endorsement is important. I mean, you can ask me, madam, you told me what are important things in case of negotiable instrument. Means endorsement is important, material alteration is important, discharge important, dishonor important, presentment important. And now let's what will happen for material alteration? What will happen? What is an effect of material alteration from the time where it is materially altered, and for the person who have materially altered from that particular endorser, the instrument is void, and for the negotiation is not possible, and prior parties are discharged from the liability. By material alteration, remember one very very important point: because of material alteration, the instrument is not discharged. Only prior parties are discharged. Remember this important point. Okay, because of material alteration, instrument is not discharged. Okay, prior parties only are discharged. That is why when I'm explaining the concept of discharge of prior parties, I explained this particular point of material alteration. Material alteration will leads to only discharge of parties but not discharge of instruments. Okay, now let's come to this particular crossing. Very very important. Once I explain this, this is also an important from examination perspective. I'll explain you why we need to go for crossing of a check. Everyone knows, I have explained in the previous class, but once again I'm explaining you for your better understanding. What is called as crossing? Why do you need to go for crossing? In case of a check, you all know there are three parties. Who are the three parties in case of a check? In case of a check, we have drawer, we have drawee, we have payee. Who is drawer? The person who is giving the check or issuing the check or making payment to the check is called as drawer. Okay, drawee is the bank who will make the payment on behalf of the drawer. Who is drawee here? Drawee is the bank who will make payment on behalf of the drawer. Payee means the holder of the check. Who is payee? The holder of the check is called as a payee. Okay, now the holder of the check, what he can do? Holder of the check can give just an open check or a bearer check or an order check, or he can give a crossed check. What is meant by crossing? What is meant by crossing means I will show here. See the picture of a check here. In case of general crossing, see that particular picture. Towards the top left corner, you see two lines drawn in black color. You can saw the two lines, no? This is two lines are called transfer parallel lines. They should compulsorily write those lines only on top left corner. Wherever other place you have sufficient place also, you should not go for that particular crossing. Top left corner lone mana two parallel transfer lines ni rayali. You have to apply two parallel transfer lines only on top left corner, not in any other place. And it should be in transfer. In that particular form only you should write. You can't write straight lines. Okay. This particular, what is the indication for this is, if a drawer of the check specifically mentioned two parallel lines, it says that he's ordering his banker, he's ordering his drawee. The banker, when I give this check, it means that you should not make payment over the counter to the holder. You should directly debit my account and credit the holder's account. దాని అర్థం ఏమిటంటే అమ్మా, ఎప్పుడైతే క్రాస్డ్ చెక్ ఇచ్చాడో డ్రాయరు, ఆ క్రాసింగ్ చేయడం వల్ల ఇట్ ఈస్ అన్ ఆర్డరింగ్, ఈజ్ ఆర్డరింగ్ హిస్ బ్యాంకర్ నువ్వు ఈ పర్టికులర్ చెక్ కి సంబంధించిన పేమెంట్ ని ఓవర్ ది కౌంటర్ ఇవ్వద్దు, డైరెక్ట్ గా నా అకౌంట్ నుంచి డెబిట్ చేసి ఆ పర్టికులర్ హోల్డర్ అకౌంట్ ని క్రెడిట్ చేయి అని అర్థం అన్నమాట. When a crossed check is given, the holder cannot encash it from a counter. He cannot directly go to the bank and encash the amount. What the holder have to do? He should take the check, go to his bank where he is having account, take one slip, fill the details, fill his name, account number, everything, attach to the check and put it in the check deposit box. After 2 or 3 days, what will happen is account will be created with the amount. Madam, what is an advantage? Why the drawer gives such kind of check? Advantage ఏంటంటే we can definitely trace out whose account is credited. Either it is credited to the person whom we are thinking, or it is credited to some other's account. In generally in business scenario, there will be so many transactions on day-to-day basis. The businessman every day he have to make so many payments. If he gives a crossed check, he can trace out whether the payment have been properly reached to the particular respective creditor for whom he have to make the payment. Tracing out the creditor or tracing out the holder is easy in case of crossed checks. Okay, if you give an open check or uncrossed check, you don't know who will encash the money. You don't know whether the check is lost or it is taken by somebody else. Okay, therefore crossing is a kind of a security both for the drawer as well as holder of the check. It ensures as a security for holder as well as the drawer of the check. And here one more point. Crossing can be done either by the drawer or by the holder himself, but not by the banker. Please underline, please note down as an important point. Crossing can be done either by the holder of the check or by the drawer of the check. Both can, any one of them can do. Okay, that is all about general crossing. Now, when it comes to special crossing, madam, special crossing means what? And I am tell you frankly, the concept of special crossing is not prevalent in India at all. At present, there is no concept of special crossing now. But since it is given theoretically, we have to learn. What will happen in the special crossing means, among those two parallel lines, you will also indicate the name of the bank, and this bank, from this bank only will be your collecting banker. It means that the holder should, if he doesn't have this bank account, he should open to this particular, in this bank, he should open an account and he should credit to that particular bank account only. Okay. A banker's name is indicated between the two parallel transfer lines by the drawer of the instrument is called as special crossing. What's the special crossing? Special crossing, in case of special crossing, if the banker's name is specified between two parallel transfer lines, it is called as special crossing. Understood? And however, this particular concept is not at present practical scenario, it is not applicable. Okay, it is very difficult to, if you don't have, generally we get suppose a drawer is giving me a check to me. He is giving Axis Bank account check. I don't have any account in Axis Bank. I have an account in some other Indian bank. Then what I have to do? I should go and again open account in Axis Bank. No. Like this, if I do, I should have account in all the banks in India. It is highly impossible. But this particular practice is not much in usage. It is not in usage in day-to-day transactions. Next. Before telling me negotiable crossing, I'll tell you account payee crossing. Account payee crossing is one of the best and safest mode of crossing. Okay. In present scenario, account payee crossing is one of the best and safest method of crossing. Generally at every place, if you go for this account payee crossing, we have 100% assurance that the banker will pay the amount only to the person whose name is specified on the check. Okay, if in between two parallel lines, if you specifically write the words account payee, either holder can write it as an account payee, or drawer, when he's issuing the check, he can give it as an account payee. For example, okay, I am working in some institution as a teacher. They will pay me some salary in form of a check. The owner of the institution is giving, the employer of the institution is giving me the check. Okay, then what he will do when he's giving me the check, he'll write my name and he'll draw parallel lines and he'll give me the check. Since I know this is a negotiable instrument act, what I did, I indicated the words account payee or filled the words account payee in between two parallel lines. Then I'm so happy and so safe. I put my check in my bag and I'm not scared. Even though I lose my check, nobody can do or endorse with my check anything, because because my name is there on the particular check, and the content, that particular amount in the check should reach only to the person whose name is specified in the check. It cannot be endorsed or it cannot be transferred without my permission. Understood? Therefore, account payee is one of the safest method of crossing. And account payee words can be either be written by drawer or by the holder of the holder of that particular check. Even though I lose the check, nobody can, misuse that particular check. Okay, that is called account payee crossing. Now, next, last very important type of crossing is not negotiable crossing. By many of the students, what mistake not negotiable and the Tuesday, they will think that, madam, I think this check can't be endorsed, madam. I think this check cannot be negotiated or transferred, madam. No, it is wrong. Not negotiable cross check can be endorsed. Not negotiable cross check can be transferred. Okay. However, what is the main advantage of this particular crossing is, if they use the word not negotiable in between two parallel lines and give the check to us, it means that if any fraud or forgery takes place, even though the holder is holder in due course, he cannot even claim single rupee out of that particular check. Okay, I'll explain you this concept with an example. See, here a case study is there. In case of not negotiable cross check, see this case study. W is a drawer of a check. Means W is a person who wanted to make a payment through a check. What did W did? On the face of the check, he wrote the words not negotiable. He mentioned the words not negotiable on the face of the check. And he handed this check to his clerk. Asked his clerk to make a payment to some X. Write the amount in that particular check and write the full name of X and please make payment to X. What did clerk did? You know, clerk did here a fraud. He did one cheating. The clerk did some cheating. What is the cheating done by clerk is, instead of transferring the amount to X, clerk transferred this check to the person for whom she has to make payment, for whom he has to make the payment, and also added money in excess of his authority and delivered the check to P. Here, P is an innocent holder. P is an innocent endorsee. P is an innocent holder in due course. After receiving the check from clerk, P thought it is check of clerk only, and he nicely encashed it with the bank. And later on, W came to know this, and he ordered the bank to give back his money. And the banker should also refund money to W. Now tell me, in this particular case of not negotiable crossing, P, even though he is an HTC, can he claim any amount from this particular check which is cross not negotiable? No, not at all, because whatever title the clerk have, the clerk doesn't have good title on the check, but he transferred the check to P, which is not possible. Therefore, P also will get a bad title even though P is a HDC here. Okay, here it is because of fraud, P received the money from clerk. Therefore, P, even though HDC, he will not get good title, and P have to refund back all the amount to W. The benefit of not negotiable crossing is, even though in case of fraud, the HDC will not get a good title when the check is crossed not negotiable. This is also one of the safest form of crossing. However, in this particular same case, if as usual the clerk have nicely given this particular check to X on behalf of W, it has reached to right person. Now X, if he want, he can endorse the instrument to somebody else. Yes, he can endorse, because X got a good title. He got directly from W, from whom he have to receive the money. Therefore, X can nicely endorse it to somebody else. Therefore, here there is no restriction for endorsement. If it transfers in a right way, if the good title is passed in a right way, then there is no restriction for further endorsement in case of not negotiable crossing. Okay. Here a very important maxim. The maxim nemo dat quod non habet under Sale of Goods Act, which you have learned in CPT. Whatever title the transferor have, the same is applicable to transferring. The maxim directly applies in case of not negotiable crossing. What they are saying under Negotiable Instrument Act is, this maxim nemo dat quod non habet is directly applicable in case of not negotiable crossing. Okay, understood? So this is all about your not negotiable crossing, which is very important from examination perspective. This particular case law can be asked as a practical question, or they can use to explain the concept of not negotiable crossing. Means you have to write all this information. Okay, and I will explain you this nemo dat quod non habet. Sometimes, you know, they are giving this maxim nemo dat quod non habet, and please explain. If they ask you, you should write this particular information what I have given. According to Sale of Goods Act, the maxim Nimodad code non-habit means no one can get a better title than what he himself have. This I have already told you. Okay, whatever title the transferor has, same is passed to the transferee. But this maxim will directly apply in case of forgery and not negotiable crossing. In case of forgery, also if endorser forged the signature, endorse the instrument, the endorser will not get a good title. The same way in case of not negotiable crossing also. But other than these two cases, this maxim is not applicable to HDC. If he is a HDC of the instrument. Other than forgery and not negotiable crossing, if there is only general crossing, there is no words not negotiable, and the instrument have reached to P from clerk. No, clerk is not having good title, but P got the instrument in good faith for consideration before maturity. He didn't do any fraud or he didn't do any theft here. Okay, in the same example, since there is no not negotiable, in this particular case, P can claim the good title on the instrument because he sold it in due course. Here, what I want to exact చెప్పాలి ఏంటంటే అమ్మా, ఈ నిమోడాట్ కోడ్ నాన్ హ్యాబిట్ అన్న మాక్సిమం డైరెక్ట్ గా ఫోర్జరీ నాట్ నెగోషియబుల్ క్రాసింగ్ కి అప్లై అవుతుంది. అంటే దాని అర్థం ట్రాన్స్ఫరర్ కి ఏ టైటిల్ ఉంటే అదే ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ కూడా వెళ్తుంది. కానీ ఈ మాక్సిమం ఈ రెండు కేసులు కాకుండా మిగతా ఏ కేసులో అయినా సరే HDC ki apply avadu. Therefore, HDC is an exception to this maxim. Okay, అందుకని HDC ki benefit. Whatever title the transferor have, that is not passed to the transferee in case of HDC because it take the instrument in good faith for consideration before maturity. But HDC అయితే వాడికి బెనిఫిట్ వస్తుంది అంటున్నాను. సో ఈ రెండు కాంట్రడిక్టరీ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయి నిమోడాట్ కోడ్ నాన్ హ్యాబిట్ లో. ప్లీజ్ లుక్ చెక్ ఇన్ టు దిస్ బోత్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్. One is it is direct, but this particular maxim is directly applicable to the concept of not negotiable and forgery. But this maxim is not applicable to HDC. Please understand this particular concept, important from theoretical perspective. Okay, so this is all about your crossing. And let us come to this. Is a very simple liability of parties. You know who are liable for in case of a promissory note, who is the primary liability maker? In case of bill of exchange, who is the primary liability acceptor? In case of a bank, who is the primary liability? The drawer is the primary liability. If the sufficient funds and banker have rejected the payment, even though he is having sufficient funds, banker rejected the payment, banker's liability will be there. Okay. Next one. However, in following cases, the banker can dishonor the check and it is valid. What are the following cases, madam, where the banker can dishonor the check and when it would be valid, madam? These are the following cases. If the check is undated, or if it is or if the check is not completed, incomplete, if the check is post-dated, if the check is mutilated means destroyed or torn into pieces. Or if a banker gets any notice of his customer's death or his insolvency, lunacy means if he became the mad and if the customer became mad and notice has given by him or by his family members to the bank, then bank will stop all the transaction. If bank had received any garnish or court order, stay order, if there is any material alteration on the check, in all these cases, if banker stops the payment, then it is valid. Then banker is not liable in this case. Other than this, even though if there are sufficient funds, if banker stops the payment to the customer, then banker is liable to the customer. Understand? Who would be liable to the customer? Banker is liable if there are sufficient funds and if he did not honor the payment. And other than this, in all these mentioned cases, banker is justified even though he stops the payment. Okay. So this is all about your liability of parties. So we have seen about the concept of crossing of the check. And this particular concept of marked check is important for examination bit summa. I'll explain you in one or two sentences. Please understand. This is important. In India, there is no concept of marking of the check. Understand? In India at present, there is no concept of marking of the check. It's one of the oldest concepts. Since the Negotiable Instrument Act is one of the oldest act, we are seeing all these aspects. Just learn it as a bit. In this particular case, when the banker receives the check, he will write on the face of the check that at any instance, there will be payment made on the check. There is no countermand of the payment. And a banker even mentioned specific check at any cost, the payment will be made on this check. The drawer or the banker cannot stop payment on the check. And a banker holder ki barosa istunadu. ఓకే, బ్యాంకర్ హోల్డర్ కి ఏమిస్తున్నాడు? భరోసా ఇస్తాడు. ఎట్టి పరిస్థితుల్లో అయినా నీకు పేమెంట్ వస్తుంది అని అలా రాసి మెన్షన్ చేస్తే దాన్ని మార్కింగ్ ఆఫ్ ద చెక్ అని అంటారండి. The check is marked good for payment by the banker. However, this practice is not at all prevalent in India and it is not at present. You are not practicing it. We are learning for the sake of learning. That's all. Because it is there in the material, we are learning. These all we have seen. We have seen what is negotiation. We have seen what is endorsement. We have seen types of endorsement చూసాము. Okay. And negotiation back going to explain just from difference between negotiation and assignment, crossing of the check. All these which I have missed these slides in the last two classes. I thought I would give once again a briefer explanation so that everyone should nicely could follow all these particular important slides. If you have any further more doubts, you can ask me. Okay, fine. Any doubts? Okay. Now, before winding up, I have few bits also. Let me once again let me revise these bits so that it will be a nice clarity for you. So let me show these bits now. I hope these bits are visible for you all. So you should try to answer by yourselves. Number one, first bit. Okay, let me show you these bits. First bit. The negotiable instrument includes promissory note A, B, bill of exchange, C, check, D, all of the above. What is the answer? Tell me. The promissory note, the negotiable instrument includes what? All of the above or only promissory note or only bill of exchange? Okay, tell me. It includes all of the above. The negotiable instrument includes promissory note, bill of exchange and check. Okay. The second one, the negotiable instrument act includes check, bill of exchange and dash and promissory note, not anything else. Okay. So negotiable instrument act includes check, bill of exchange and promissory note. Can the negotiable instrument be drawn by minor? Is it valid or is it void? It is void. Negotiable instrument act should not be drawn by a minor. It is void. All the answers are highlighted. Okay. So if you want to check the answers, you can also check the answers. They are highlighted. They are given in the highlighted words. Okay. Next. A negotiable instrument which is drawn in India on a person residing in India and payable outside in India is known as dash. Inland instrument, foreign instrument, incomplete instrument, or none of the above. It is an inland instrument only because it is satisfying the criteria that it is drawn in India and on a person residing in India. So since it has satisfied the condition or a provision given under inland instrument, it's called as an inland instrument. Next one. If the negotiable instrument in which no time for payment is specified, అంటే మన స్పెసిఫిక్ గా పర్టికులర్ నెగోషియేషన్స్ మీద ఇన్ టైం ఏమి చెప్పలేదు అనుకోండి, దాని అర్థం ఏమిటి? ఇట్ ఇస్ పేయబుల్ ఆన్ డిమాండ్. If no time is specified on the negotiable instrument, it means that it is payable on demand. Okay. Next. In case of a promissory note, how many parties are there initially in case of a promissory note? Tell me, how many parties are there? Whether there are 2, 3, 4 or any number. There are only 2 members in case of promissory note, that is maker and payee. Next one. A negotiable instrument payable to an order can be transferred by, if you are endorsing the instrument to an order, then that endorsement is called endorsement and delivery. It is not simple endorsement or it is not just an endorsement. You should mandatorily, please note down that some people know if it is transferred, they can just mention it as endorsement. No, it is called as endorsement and delivery. And here one more point I want to tell you that the word endorsement might be begin with I or E. Okay. In some books it is written I, in some books it is written E. Both are same. Okay, fine. Eighth one. A slip of paper attached to the back of the instrument for signing the endorsement is known as dash. It is called as an allongee. If any, when during endorsement, when back of the instrument is totally filled, you don't have anything left to write on back of the instrument, then what we will do, we will take a separate paper and we will attach with that separate paper. In NI terminology, negotiable instrument act terminology, it is called as allongee. Okay. Now next. And the endorsement by which endorser excludes his liability by express words is known as dash. Sans recourse endorsement. When during the course of negotiation, if the negotiable instrument comes back to original endorser, to any of the prior party, this process is known as negotiation back. I have already explained you. During the course of negotiation, if the instrument comes back to an original endorser, it is called as negotiation back. The liability of a maker of a promissory note is primary or secondary? It is primary only. Okay. The presentment for acceptance is required in the case of only bills of exchange. Very, very important. I have told you again beginning of this particular class. The presentment of acceptance is required only for a bill of exchange, but not for any promissory note or a check. The payment of a crossed check, I told you just now, in case of a crossed check, you cannot collect it over the counter. You cannot collect the cash over the counter. You can get only by depositing it into an account. Only your account get credited in case of a crossed check. Okay. Which one of the following is not a characteristic feature of a negotiable instrument? Tell me what is not following characteristic feature of a negotiable instrument. It must be in writing. That is mandatory. It is freely transferable. Mandatory. It should contain definite amount. That is also mandatory. Registration is important for negotiable instrument. Tell me, is there any case where it is said that the instrument should be registered? No, registration is not mandatory. Which of the following statements are incorrect with reference to the Negotiable Instrument Act? What are incorrect? All material alterations in check requires authentication. No. The elimination of words or order or a bearer to material alteration requires authentication. No, you need not. That is not called as material alteration. Conversion of an instrument payable to order into one payable to bearer. Order instrument you cannot convert it to bearer instrument. All the above things are incorrect statements. They are incorrect. Okay, that's why all the above we have mentioned. These are few very in this particular way they might ask you bits from the Negotiable Instrument Act. So please be careful. And here before winding up, I want to give few very important tips the student should follow when writing this particular law paper. Number one, first tip is, as soon as you receive your question paper, all you needed is to read the question paper thoroughly and nicely, cool. Don't get more confused or don't be so scared to write this particular exam. చక్కగా జాగ్రత్తగా కూర్చొని ఆలోచించి కూల్ మనసుతో మీరు ఆ పర్టికులర్ పేపర్ ని చదివి అండ్ పుట్ టిక్ వాట్ ఆల్ ద బెస్ట్ ఆన్సర్స్ యూ కెన్ ఆన్సర్ ఫస్ట్. Okay, first write very good best answers which you can write well. Okay, and when you are writing bits also, read the question carefully because they will give small confusion in the bits which you have to solve. Bit will be easy, but there will be confusions in the options. Listen carefully and read carefully and write well. Presentation is very important in this particular paper because it's a theoretical paper. Whatever knowledge you have, your writing you have to put in paper and write. No, therefore your writing should be in a legible words. Write clearly and legibly. Beautiful handwriting is not, if you can write beautiful handwriting, it's well and good, but you see that your words are in understandable way. Theoretical questions, write in point wise bulleted points or write in point wise theoretical questions. Practical questions, write in this particular 4-way format: facts, provision, analysis, conclusion. If time is not permitting you, at least write provision and conclusion. Okay, so next bits also write carefully. Try to write within time management is important. See that your paper completes at least by 2 hours 45 minutes. So 15 minutes time you can keep for final checking of your paper. Suppose when you're writing one answer, if you are unable to recollect the points, don't waste your time by thinking of for that particular answer itself. You leave some space and try to write the next answer, so that when you remember, you can come back to this answer and write again. And for one particular question or answer, you should not spend more time because you have to satisfy all other questions also. And you know one question so well. Don't write pages and pages that single question. How much marks they give? Also maximum they will give you 6 or 7. They will not give you 10 or 20 marks. No. Some students will do these silly mistakes by spending so much time on one single question. Okay, so please, all these tips you keep in mind. At the time of preparation also revise properly. A 15 minutes you keep spent every day for the purpose of, for the purpose of writing, you spend some time. These are very important tips which you have to follow. Okay, so before winding up the last day, yesterday I was so disappointed that I could not show you this particular slide. So I will just show you. Yesterday I have already explained you this particular man because I want my students to do something best in their life. He is one of the best Indian mathematician, Anand Kumar. He started a new program in the year 2002, which is called as a Super 30 program. And on this particular person's biography, only a movie was also released by Hrithik Roshan that is called a Super 30 movie. His main ambition is to teach these underprivileged students who are attending for IIT and JEE entrance exams. Okay, his passion is to teach the students of underprivileged students and see that all his students will get seats in IIT colleges. That is his passion. And most of his students who have thought to become very, very successful IITians and JEs. And he has spoken as a speaker in various institutions like Indian Institute of Management, University of British Columbia, Tokyo University, and many. He's giving something back to the society. He's a very good teacher. And he's at present he's in Bihar. He's from Bihar. He coaches so many students. You should take all these inspiration in our day-to-day life, because these inspirations will help us to become more positive and to be successful in our life. Whatever you do, you try to do with passion. You want to become something more. Okay, that's very, very important. So discipline is just choosing between what you want now and what you want to be the most. Okay, how well, what are the inner talents in you? Please recognize those talents. Okay, bring out those talents and try to become a very, very, I mean, a skillful person. Skills are very, very essential in day-to-day life. So other than your CA, in what else you're trying to nurture yourself is more important. Push yourself. No one is going to do it for you. Success is no accident. It is all about hard work. Success will not come suddenly. It is not a fruit which will fall from a tree. You can become successful only if you put a hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and love for what you're doing is very, very important. మీరు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు దాని ఇష్టంగా చేయండి. ఒక ప్రతి పనిని సిన్సియర్ గా ఎఫర్ట్స్ పెట్టండి, ఖచ్చితంగా రిజల్ట్ ఉంటుంది. ఎఫర్ట్స్ మీద కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేయండి అమ్మా. ప్లీజ్ కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ ఆన్ యువర్ ఎఫర్ట్స్. డెఫినెట్లీ విల్ గెట్ ద రిజల్ట్. The true measure of success is how many times you bounce back from failures. Very important. And any failures వచ్చాయి కదా. Some people will say, madam, I couldn't pass this particular CA exam. I failed so many times. Please forget it. Every failure will teach you a lesson. You should bounce back from it. How fast you bounce back will lead you to become a successful person in your life. Okay, so many scientists have failed a number of times, but the only dedicated mind towards that particular achieving of their goal made them bounce back from the failures. Okay, don't wait for the opportunity. You create your own opportunity. Okay, you are yourself. You have to create the opportunity, explore the opportunity, and give your best for the opportunity. Okay, so these all are very, very important captions. Why I have gave you these captions is every day, please recollect these points, because you need to push yourself. You need to give your best. Don't wait. I mean, like whether the exams you will conduct or not, that's immaterial for you. At any time you're going to write the exam. No, if it is not in this particular month, in November you're going to write exams. But preparation is very important. No, so see that you prepare well beforehand itself, so that you can give your best in your examination without any fear. Okay, thank you so much, all my dear students, for your patience listening. I'm winding up for today, and see you some other time with some other classes. Okay, so thank you so much, and I thank ICI Vijayawada branch for giving me this wonderful opportunity to Nitta Ravikishore sir and the chairman of Vijayawada branch. I thank you so much for GSR sir, the chairman, for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with all the students throughout the country. Thank you so much. And for any queries, I have given my mail ID and phone number. And see you soon. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye.